Yup, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation, but before I tell you that, let me quickly thank this video's sponsor. Since I had to sell organs for this event, this video is sponsored by LD Player, my emulator of choice when playing Arknights. LD Players is a free Android emulator to play mobile games on PC with mouse and keyboard. It provides the fastest performance for Android games, supports various Windows systems, while being 64-bit, and it lets you play the most popular apps and games. All of this comes with a rather lightweight software that lets me and my toaster PC be able to stream my suffering during the lore accurate attempts, all while being stable. It also allows for multi-instance, so I can burn my sanity on both of my global and CN accounts at the same time, without my aforementioned toaster blowing up. Check the description for a link to download LD Player for free and to support the channel at no cost to you. Thank you to LD Player for sponsoring this video. Arknights on the global server finally turns 4 years old, meaning we get the most important potential for the most limited of operators, Savage. Arknight veterans who have been there since launch finally begin to realize that their gambling addiction for 2D anime PNGs is not getting any better, nor will it ever. With this totally seasonally aligned anniversary, we head to the bright sunny beaches of Siesta, drenched in the bright colors of an 80s retro futurism aesthetic. This event comes with one of the best overall OSTs in the game currently, and it's probably the best event OST that has been released in the last 6 months. So long Adele welcomes home, well, Adele. Eyja the Almost Dead turns from a meta 6-star caster into a meta 6-star healer that has also shot every healer in the back of the head with her terminally ill Glock. Swire copers are finally vindicated with the release of Swimsuit Swire, who is astoundingly okay. Not mid, just okay. It is finally time for me to enter the event and see if I can fight the big Barbenheimer sheep and come out victorious. Or will it just be a daydream? SL1 is the warning bell for things to come in the future, and introduces the main mechanic of the event. The soda bottles. You need to keep destroying these bottles and keep up the white smoke, unless you want these sheep with traffic cones on their head to be as damage absorbent as a black hole. I have a large roster this time around, and in an inverse of my usual problem, I have almost no high ground units, with me lacking a normal A of my own. Another problem is my lack of built units, so for most of this event, I am fighting an uphill battle with units that do almost no damage. So unsurprisingly, my unbuilt team fails to beat the first stage. I quickly give OG Swire a E1 max level, and this time the stage goes smoothly with some different unit placements. SL2 introduces the Skater Boys, who for whatever reasons are invisible and can pick up the normal sheep and spread the pink fart. They also do a surprisingly high amount of damage when they're paired up. I place Bison in the middle to block the Skater Boys, but I quickly start to notice the lack of AoE and arch damage, since I am lacking an Eyja somewhat dead. Things quickly fall apart with normal Swire not doing enough damage and Swire Alter not being able to fully hold due to the thickness of the sheep because of the pink fart everywhere, and I lose my first try. I have 2 more attempts where I try more out there strategies, but they fail miserably due to bad fart management. I settle on going back to the Bison in the middle strategy, and set my units up to hold the middle with their lives. This works out, with both Swires doing their jobs as intended, and with my boy Bison being an actual Giga Chad in the middle. Ceylon is there as moral support for Snowscent on the right side. I slowly clear the last few enemies, leading to a stage clear. SL3 introduces the World War I sheep, which are the biggest headache of this whole event, but I did not know that at the time. I bring a support Eyja since I have a lack of units that can deal with aerial enemies. This makes the stage quite trivial, with Eyja the AoE caster dealing with the entire stage herself. I place Bison to block the Disc Golf sheep, so the World War I sheep aren't able to pick them up. Snowscent and Eyja deal with all the flying enemies, and I watch as the Disc Golf boys slowly walk to their deaths, earning me a stage clear by doing absolutely nothing. SL4 will live in my nightmares right next to IW9. This stage introduces the big fellas, who are just camera reps in disguise. The lads are extremely thick in the pink fart and also spawn an extra enemy too, so that's fun. I greatly underestimate the power of the big fellas, which makes Bison into Bison. On my next attempt, I get deeper into the stage only to find that there's a massive wave of enemies that come out at the end, and with my lack of AoE and well, damage in general, this stage starts to seem like a massive headache. I start to feel the effects of my E0 Poncyrus not being able to reliably lane hold. However, I discovered that she is able to hold 2 regular sheep at bay. This allows me to retreat Swire Alter a little early so I can place her to help with the left side swarm. However, even with Swire Alter helping, there just isn't enough damage on the left side to take down the massive swarm. After 20 or so minutes of futile attempts, I start with what would be the beginning of the biggest financial ruin of my Arknights account, setting me to poverty so bad that it would make even HG think about instating a welfare program into the game. I start with getting Swars to E1 max, thinking that it would change the game completely, and surprise surprise, it did not. This led to another 20 or so minutes of failure to where I finally buckled and bought OG Eyja out of the shop and leveled her to E1 max. However, this came at a cost of my resources and necessitating what some would call a gamer move. I also for fun decided to use the rest of my rundums since the banner gave me the worst luck I've experienced in the game. Thus far, with 200 pulls and only one Eyja altar to show and no Swire altar. After scrounging up the bottom of the barrel to even get Eyja to E1 max, we finally entered the stage once more. With Eyja's S2 doing big AoE damage as well as reliably breaking the soda crates, the stage becomes much easier and it passes quite smoothly. Snowcent and Swire altar cleaned up the stage and all it took was 2 hours of my time and to sell my kidney to beat the 4th stage of an event. Awesome. SL5 introduces the cartoon enemies that are stuck in a whirlwind. They do quite the big amount of damage if the whirlwind hits your units if you can't break it in time. This stage is quite easy due to only having one exit and a very nice choke point. OG Eyja and Swire altar deal with the entire stage themselves, with Bison blocking the enemies that slip past Swire altar. Things look a little dicey when 3 whirlwinds spawn, but I sacrifice OG Swire to the cartoon gods and let her take one big hit that instantly explodes her. Her sacrifice was not in vain since the rest of the stage goes very smoothly. Beating SL5 rewards me with the best card in the game, Briofita, who is just awesome. SL6 is quite difficult due to its stage layout and its enemies. This stage introduces the magic sheep that when in the fart will attack 3 units and they do quite a fair bit of damage. My first attempt on the stage goes rather poorly since many skateboard sheep head immediately to the top lane and a solo Swire can't handle it by herself. I tried placing a Swire altar at the top and well, that was a stupid idea since the real problem enemies just skate on by with impunity. I switched my top side strategy with Schwarz helping Swire altar by breaking open soda boxes for her, but I set up too late and the backline explodes and I lose the stage. I switched my Eyja to S3 in case I need emergency healing, and I also switched the positions of OG Eyja and Schwarz. This works out quite well until Schwarz unexpectedly perishes to the big rush of magic sheep at the end. But I came prepared this time. I kept a pocket Bison in case of emergency, and I switch out Swire with him. Snowcent is placed to give just a little bit more time by stalling with her pull. Things get a little butt clenching when a sheep fleeks past Bison, but luckily Eyja is able to take it down within the blue box. The rest is cleared by Swire altar. Overall, not too bad of a stage despite its initial apparent difficulty. SL7 is seemingly difficult, but with the singular blue box it ended up being quite easy. I used Swire altar on S2 for this stage just to do a little extra damage before the sheep reach her. Both Eyjas are placed behind her and Schwarz right beside. This setup is good enough for the rest of the stage. I used Briofita at the top to block the skater boys, and he's actually able to do it in a rare case of him actually being useful. The last big wave of magic sheep is somewhat scary, but with an Eyja S3 she's able to keep everyone safe as all my damage dealers do their job, leading to a first try clear. We have finally arrived at the Barbenheimer sheep, Dolly. This stage is quite troublesome due to the boss's mechanics with his massive damage reduction shields that require the soda balls to reduce. I enter for my first attempt with my woefully underleveled team, and the first hurdle to clearing the stage becomes very apparent and has nothing to do with Dolly. As I alluded to earlier in the video, my first big obstacle are the flying World War I sheep. My Eyja and Schwarz are not strong enough to take them down, and they leak, giving me my first loss on the boss stage, without me ever even being able to do anything about Dolly or the trash mobs that spawn. This stays as the main issue, with my units not being able to take down the first flyby of aerial sheep. I futilely attempt to beat just the first wave of flying sheep without any success for about 45 minutes or so before giving up and using what little resources I have left to get OG Eyja to E2. With my nearly E2'd Eyja, I attempt to use S3 to burst down the sheep, but without masteries and lack of planning, S3 is only able to take down the first wave, with the second flying by without a care in the world. Also with S3, I lose the AoE that is sorely needed by my team to be able to take down the mob sheep that Bison so bravely holds back. With Eyja E2'd, I am now able to start clearing, at the very least, the first wave semi-regularly. After almost an hour of attempts that have no real sense of improvement, I decide to see if an S2 M3 Eyja would make a big difference, and surprise, it does. At M3, I am able to start clearing the waves of flying enemies, and it finally allows me to focus on how to deal with the boss. Borrowing Eyja, however, brings a big loss, since I lose a lot of potential without a Swire altar on the team, since she is semi-fast redeploy and would be able to blow up the sodas to reduce Dolly's shield. Finally, at 2 hours into trying this stage, I am finally able to phase him with no leaks. But that's all I'm really able to do, since after I accomplish phasing him, he just waltzes into the blue box for free. I try for another 20 minutes or so, but I call it quits and decide to take a day to raise my ops and get my own M3 Eyja, deciding it was paramount to beating the stage without any shenanigans. Day 2 comes around and I'm ready to tackle the challenge with a newly strengthened squad consisting of a Ponsaris finally at E1 and my own M3 Eyja. I get to bring a slightly stronger Schwarz, and I enter the stage just to immediately lose to the first wave of flying boys, and any progress I've seemingly made from playing the stage for 2.5 hours has been thrown out the window. I switch up my opening to a Schwarz on the right side to do some early damage to the flying boys, but with no masteries on this support Schwarz, the timing is not quick enough, not enough damage gets done to the sheep, resulting in Eyja not being able to take them down on her own. I try again with the same opening, but switched my snow scent placement to be at the back of the line to make most of her ability to damage aerial enemies. And this works, with snow scent having barely enough damage to clean up any sheep Eyja's unable to take down. This leads to the most comfortable phase 1 clear I've had in almost 3 hours of attempts. With this setup, I can finally start shifting my focus on how to take down the Barbenheimer sheep himself. The next 30 minutes of attempts all end in this fashion, with me phasing Dolly on the bottom side of the stage just for his phase 2 to walk away with impunity. And I start to feel the potential loss due to not having a fast redeploy Swire of my own, as well as not having a fast redeploy M3 Schwarz to take Dolly down. Thus I am convinced to pull by a certain hung fan, and with my luck on the banner so far, I had little hope in actually getting Swire, with the 11 or so pulls I had left on my account, and only sitting around 8 pulls since my last 6-star. Yet on my 3rd single, I got the gold bag. As I mentioned earlier, my luck has been horrible, so no wish for funny bad luck, I was actually hoping I did not get Swire. Since she didn't come home, instead the game gave me 3 off banners. So I opened the bag and...
Long time no see.
I fucking hate it here, dude.
Let me...
I got Swire. And with the chat spamming Swire's most infamous phrase, and me getting a character I sorely needed to win, I still somehow felt like I lost. So everyone go build your hung. Now that Swire has decided that she wants to be a part of the team, I am tasked with truly scrounging the bottom of the barrel and search for materials to even be able to E2 her. After a slight 40-minute detour to farm, I am able to get Swire to E2, truly leaving my account's materials decimated. With Swire added to the team, I am able to make use of her lower deployment time to bring Dolly's shields down on the top side for Schwarz to deal damage. Doing this lets me phase Dolly on the top side of the stage and lets me finally feel like I've made substantial progress to my victory. I unfortunately blunder by not being able to pop a soda bottle on Dolly due to more sheep spawning, which blocks my operators from doing so. This causes me to waste time once Dolly reaches his final stopping point on the bottom of the stage. Though it really doesn't matter since my entire team explodes during my attempt to kill Dolly, and he lives with 1/3 of his HP as he waltzes to the blue box. On my next attempt, Snow Scent betrays me by pulling a sheep into herself and not attacking the flying sheep, causing me a swift loss. It truly be your own. I also got my hands on an S3 M3 Schwarz, and the difference in power is astronomical, and the vision of victory gets ever closer. On the next attempt, I don't mess up by blowing up the bottle once Dolly enters the bottom side of the stage, and I get ready to burst him down. Again, my team explodes in the last big rush of enemies due to mismanagement of the pink fart, but to add insult to injury, Dolly escapes with almost no HP, and I again must watch my victory slip through my fingers right at the very last moment. Then, my moment came. I opened the stage as I had been for the last 2 hours. Schwarz S3 to damage the flying sheep, Eyja to deal with all the mobs, and Punsaris to generate my DP. Snow Scent and Bison are placed to get ready for the rest of the stage, and Swire Alter starts breaking Dolly's shield. During the second wave of flyers, Snow Scent pulls a sheep, causing me to make use of the best card in the game, Briofita, to break soda bottles to keep Snow Scent safe from the fart explosion Dolly does. I set up Schwarz on the top lane with Ceylon to bait any damage, and let Swire and her phase Dolly rather quickly. I make use of OG Swire to hold back some enemies, and the bottle breaking king, Briofita, drops another shield of Dolly while also stalling out the enemy, so Bison and Eyja don't get overwhelmed. This comes at a high DP cost however. I retrieve both my guards and deploy Swire Alter to get ready to burst Dolly down. Dolly gets down to very low HP, and finally Snow Scent takes him out from downtown, putting this annoying Barbenheimer sheep to rest. However, the stage was not done yet, and I was unsure if my team could handle the last swarm of flyers. That gave me so much trouble in the beginning. It was a bit butt clenching due to my low DP, not really allowing me to deploy any soda bottles, and I start to feel the pain of my modelless Swire. Luckily, my team does barely enough damage to take down the sheep, bringing home victory after 4 hours on this godforsaken stage. This event and anniversary has left me completely destitute. Eyja the Almost Dead certainly made this event easier by virtue of being the best healer in the game. Swire, while not being the best, does shine when you need her to, and for anyone that likes her, I'm sure you're pleased. But the real MVP of this event is my boy Bison, doing all the heavy lifting to allow this team to shine. Overall, it feels good to win again after 2 events in a row being essentially impossible with current unit availability. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and consider leaving a like and subscribing. Every little bit helps. Till next time.